Hello everybody out there in the YouTube digital world. I am Chris the Shriner Dog. Welcome to today's video. Now before I say anything else, I have to apologize for the sound of my voice. I'm just literally getting over being sick for a little over a month. You probably could have heard it in the last couple of videos that I've done, so I apologize for that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the story of the world's first KFC. Now, when one hears about or even talks about Kentucky Fried Chicken, we without a question or even a doubt in our mind think that it started all in Kentucky. It says so in the name, right? Kentucky Fried Chicken. I am right there in the same boat. I thought that at first. Did Colonel Sanders start selling his chicken in Kentucky? Yes, absolutely he did. No question about that. Did he open his first KFC restaurant in Utah? Weird question, but also yes. Confusing? Super. But let me explain. To do so, we'll have to start from the very beginning. Colonel Harlan Sanders was born in Henryville, Indiana on September 9th, 1890 and died in Louisville, Kentucky on December 16th, 1980. During his early life, he held many different jobs, including being a steam engine stoker, insurance salesman, and a filling station operator, a gas station operator. He began selling his fried chicken from his roadside restaurant in North Corbin, Kentucky during the Great Depression. So there you go. That's where he started selling his chicken. During that time, Sanders developed his secret recipe, quote unquote, and his patented method of cooking chicken in a pressure fryer. Sanders saw that there was a huge possibility to branch out and franchise out his own recipe. He traveled across the country, still selling his chicken whenever and wherever possible to sell his concept or to sell his franchise idea to anyone who was willing to listen to him and take him up on his offer. Now here comes the confusing part a little bit. Earlier in the video, I kind of talked about how he started selling his chicken in Kentucky, but then he also opened up his first restaurant in Utah. Well, that's the thing. When he started selling his chicken on the roadside, it was not called KFC. It was called Sanders Cafe. And when that original restaurant closed, he had successfully franchised out his concept in South Salt Lake City, Utah. He successfully franchised his recipe to Pete Harmon, a local restaurateur in Salt Lake City, whom you have seen photographed with Colonel Sanders in this video. And also, he's in the statue at the very beginning of the video. He was standing there right next to Colonel Sanders at the very beginning of the video. Anyways, that statue is actually located right outside the front door of the restaurant. Anyways, a sign painter at the Harmon Cafe located. The location of the Harmon Cafe is actually where the first KFC is now. The story you actually seen in the video. And painter, or a sign painter for the cafe, his name is Rodney L. Anderson. He is credited with coming up with the idea of the KFC brand name. He thought that Kentucky Fried Chicken would stand out better than Southern Fried Chicken, and things would only pick up from there for Colonel Sanders. And honestly, that was actually a very brilliant idea of the painter, going with Kentucky Fried Chicken instead of Southern Fried Chicken, because you can kind of get Southern Fried Chicken anywhere. Whereas Kentucky Fried Chicken, you can only get at a particular restaurant. KFC, you know what I mean? Anyways, the company's rampant expansion across America and overseas became overwhelming for Sanders, and in 1964, at the age of 73, he sold the company to a group of investors led by John Y. Brown Jr. and Jack C. Macy for $2 million, and that's almost $20 million in today's money. However, he retained control of operations in Canada and became a salaried brand ambassador for KFC. In his later years, he became highly critical of the food served at his KFC restaurant, at all the KFC restaurants, and it was cost-cutting measures that he said he became critical of the cost-cutting measures that he said reduced its quality, referring to the food as sloppy with a wallpaper taste, quote unquote. Anyways, onto the Salt Lake City store that we see today in today's video. The restaurant that you see in today's video is not the same building that was used when Colonel Sanders franchised out his recipe. The original restaurant, Harmon's Cafe, that was there on this site, it has since been demolished and a new building was built on that site, the building that you see in today's video. Not only is it still an active restaurant, yes, it is still an active restaurant, but you, the viewer, and or the customer can see it's also a museum of sorts. It displays one of Colonel Sanders' original suits that he would wear in public, and Colonel Sanders, he actually wore that suit. That was a suit that he owned personally. Also on display is one of the pressure fryers he used, and the suitcase used by Harmon, with Sanders displayed on the outside of that suitcase. It was like a painting of Colonel Sanders on the outside of that case. Some of the tables seen in the video, as a side note, they kind of reminded me of like Wendy's restaurants from like the 80s and the 90s era, with photos of news, photos on like printed onto the table, news articles printed on the table. If you can think back to like back in the 80s and 90s when Wendy's had stuff like that, that's what some of the tables here at this particular restaurant remind me of. Anyways, if you ever find yourself in the Salt Lake City area and you're wanting to have some of Colonel Sanders' original KFC restaurant or franchise, however you want to look at it, there you go. There's one of the tables I was actually talking about. That reminds me of the old Wendy's tables from like the 80s and 90s, if anybody can remember that far back. Anyways, if you're ever in the Salt Lake City area and you're wanting some KFC, why not go to this original restaurant location? It's not too terribly far from the airport. I'd say it's within a half an hour from the Salt Lake City International Airport. It is located at 3890 South State Street in Salt Lake City. I'll go ahead and put that address on the screen somewhere when I get back to editing and putting everything together. I'll put it on the screen somewhere, so that way you don't have to look it up anywhere else, unless that's what you decide to do. Anyways, one thing I forgot to mention about this store is that before it was renovated, before it looked the way it does today, I mean, it's always been kind of like a restaurant style. It's always been like a museum style restaurant. But before it looked like this, before it was renovated, it looked like this. It used to have an all-you-can-eat buffet. I did not know that KFC had stuff like that at all until I went to this particular restaurant with my friend Adam Liu. I want to say it was like 2015 or 2016, when him and I met up and had lunch at this particular restaurant. Anyways, I'll put a link to that particular video in the description box down below, and who knows, you might be able to see a familiar face in that video for just a split second. Anyways, that's about all I have to say in today's video. Aside from checking out Adam's video, don't forget to check out the other links to my Instagram and TikTok down below in the description box as well. If you want to chat with me, I'm pretty social, mostly through Instagram. If you send me a message there, don't forget to tell me that, hey, I saw your video on KFC, and you told me to come follow you here on Instagram, and here I am, just want to talk, how are things going, and stuff like that. Anyways, have a good day, everyone. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video, what you see here. Check out the links down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button down below so you get notifications for future uploads. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you.
watching has to subscribe. Subscribing is cool. Thanks.